Welcome everyone to another observability lab, or actually welcome back, because I assume you have seen the previous session where we talked about what is OpenPipeline and how you can use it. And in case you haven't seen this video, check out the link. Thomas did an amazing job. Thomas, thanks for being back here.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, Thomas, great talk about what OpenPipeline is, how it fits into the architecture of Dynatrace, how it ingests all the data, processes it, feeds it into Grail. You also walked through the concepts on how to set up pipelines, the routing and everything, but now we want to see it in action. So you've prepared a demo, and without further ado, I'll just let you go right into it.
Thanks. So yeah, this is really a hands-on session for OpenPipeline. So we're gonna do some real processors here. I'm gonna give a short overview of the demo environment, how it looks like, and what we're dealing with, and of our goals, and then we get to it. So we have a demo application. We call it Easy Trade. It represents a trading platform for stock stock market instruments. It's running on a host. You know, it's a rather small thing now for our demo today. It's running on a host in a Docker Compose setup, and the one agent is also installed on that host. This is then one agent's monitoring all the services, all the containers, databases, and sending the data to the Dynatrace SaaS tenant that we're working on. I want to mention that all of this is also available on our Playground, and we can put the link into the description so that everybody can check it out there as well. And Easy Trade is also available on GitHub, so there's a more detailed description on GitHub available as well.
Oh yeah, and on the Playground, folks, I think on the Playground we run it on a Kubernetes cluster. So check it out. Link is, as Thomas already said, in the description. Perfect.
So what are we going to do today? We're going to work on data separation. So if in the previous video we talked about how we want to enable our customers to scale the management, and one of the ways to do that is split the data streams, the incoming data streams, into pipelines, so that you can focus in a pipeline on just the data that's coming through that pipeline and don't have to, think about the bigger context. And so first we need to separate the data into pipelines, and then we do the processing of log records. In more detail, what does it mean to separate the data? It's about creating the pipelines, and it's about creating the routes with the matching condition. I've done almost all of that, so we're gonna just add one pipeline to that. But I wanna shortly show what we use as a basis. So on the left side, you see a screen and output of the notebook. You see also the DQL query. Since we have a Docker Compose setup, I use the container name here, which is quite informative. You also see that there's prod information, prod log lines, and pre-prod. We can assume here for today that pre-prod is not interesting for us, so we're gonna make sure that we're not bothered by all the pre-prod data in our storage, but just focusing on log lines from prod, separating them by service. Then once we have these data separated, we're going to focus on the reverse proxy. And you see here one of the log lines as it comes in, or one of the log records as it comes in, raw. And we're going to walk through how we can improve that log record, clean it up, and get really valuable information from, so this is an Nginx log record from the web server. And the main content here that's coming from Nginx is in the content field. And you see that it's a bit cryptic to read. So we're going to leverage the technology bundles to structure that. Then we're going to do some customized parsing to determine the service name, and also as an example for sensitive data, the account ID. Then hash that account ID and remove the original field. Do a metric extraction based on the content length, because we might be interested in how many bytes each request is consuming. And we're going to have a business event extraction for the most relevant steps in our user journey. So that's here to log in and doing a trade. And we're also going to do the data cleanup because there are many asset requests in those Nginx log records, and we don't need them for later.
It's a cool example. I mean, you basically have pretty much everything that the pipeline can do here, from parsing to handling sensitive data, extracting metrics, business events, and then also doing the cleanup. This is really nice. Thanks, Thomas.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good. So
let's switch over to the live demo.
Yep.
Awesome. Let's see if this works. Here we go.
Okay, so here we're looking at the OpenPipeline application in our demo tenant, and you see the list of pipelines and the list of the dynamic routing table. So almost all of the services that we have identified in our notebook are already there. You see the account service, broker service, database. So what we're missing is the front-end reverse proxy. So this is the one that we're interested in. So we're going to create a pipeline for it, and then we're going to create all the processors as well. So first step, create the pipeline, easy trade, front end reverse proxy. Give it a nice name. And now we're going to start adding processors to it. So we know from our architecture and also from the notebook that we have an Nginx web server in there. So we're going to leverage the built-in Nginx parsers. So we're going to choose this processor bundle. And here it comes already with sample data. That's really nice. But I want to fill it with sample data from my own server. So I've already prepared that. I've already prepared that before. So, you know, usually you get it from a notebook, for example. Most of the log lines are, I think this is the original log line, and this is one from the server. So what you do is, let's make this a bit larger. You run the sample data. So this runs the sample data through all of these processors that are part of that bundle, and it shows you the result in its raw form.
Cool.
You see, we started with just this content line. And what we always add is a timestamp. You will see it, this one, and all the rest, all the rest is added by the built-in processor. So that's really a lot of information that we get here. So let's scroll down to an example from our own server. Here. So you see there's a PID, you see the IP address that's communicating here, and what else is there? Here we don't have any. Yeah, sorry, no, but HTTP flavor. So lots of information in there. Okay, cool. So that's our starting point for our customization. Because what we want to do is we want to identify the service with our service name, and we will also want to clean up the path. Yeah, because let me show you. So next step, we add a DQL processor, and it's gonna be for extract path and assign service. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna leverage the processing that the Nginx processor has done, and one of the outcomes of that is this HTTP target field. And so that's the path and the query, so the query parameters of that web request. So I've copied them out here. This is also from notebooks, and I see that this service name is here, and I also see that these query parameters I'm not interested in, and even there's something that I don't want to have there. Here, the account ID might not be that critical, but you can imagine that this could be an email address, for example, or an IBAN or something like that. And you definitely don't want to have that in your data. So you want to clean it up. So let's start doing that here. I've prepared this DQL statement here. Let me change the size here a bit. So what we're gonna do, what we're doing here is we parse this HTTP target field, and we split it into a path before the query parameter, if a query parameter is there, and then we extract from this path the service. It's just the first segment of the path.
Cool. That means you are using the TPL processing
TPL,
to actually parse and then parse the stuff that is parsed again. Really cool. Wow.
exactly. So you can do crazy statements here. You know, so this is we've seen really long DQL statements. It's really powerful. So we run the sample data and we double check whether we get the result that we want. So this is our source, and the path is, you know, is it clean? Yes, it's clean. That's nice. You know, we don't have the query parameter anymore, and the service name is also here. So let's check that with some other broker service, account service. Yes, nice. Credit card order service, latest. Yeah, credit card order service. So this works quite nicely and we're satisfied. So we have now a record that contains a path and a service field. Now, next step, we want to extract and hash the account ID, because we saw before that there's an account ID in there. And that's not what we want to keep in our data. So let's look at an example. So how does the data? So here, broker service instrument, this is the account ID. We don't want to have that there. So we already know that we have a clean path. So we're going to be using that. But we're also using the original HTTP target field to get the account ID. Okay, so parse, again here, parse this field, extract the account ID with this, it's always a digit, and then we put the account ID into this hashed account ID field, and we remove again the account ID. Okay, so the original ID is not there anymore. It's still in this HTTP target field, so we need to remember that we take care of that. But the account ID that we parsed out, we've removed already. So here we're going to do the double checking, you know, around the sample data. Broker service hashed account ID is here. Cool. And so and the account ID itself, the clean one, is not here anymore. Okay, so last step here, we sanitize this HTTP target field, which still contains the account ID. Yeah. So what we do here is basically quite simple. Sorry, just fetching the sample data. So I took the wrong processor. Sorry. Now we're gonna remove that because I want to just rename the field. Yeah. As I know, so sanitize HTTP target. We have the clean value in the path field, and we have the kind of still not clean value in the HTTP target. So what we do is we rename the path field to HTTP target, overwriting the HTTP target field. So also here we do run sample data. And you see the path is no longer there because it has been renamed, and the HTTP target is now the new path. Okay.
Perfect. So that means you could have probably done a remove field and then add a field, but in this case, just renaming it is just perfect because it does the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So now we have done our processing and we're ready for doing further stuff kind of with our data. So one of the things that we want to do is metric extraction. We're interested in the content length, we said. Yeah. So content length means that I have a value. So I'm fetching from the value, and the the value is in content length, HTTP content length. So let's first give this a name. We want to extract content length, nice name, content length by service and container name. This is true for all. So we didn't talk about matching condition, but since we're interested in all the records that go through this pipeline, we don't need to further filter anything here with the matching condition. All of this is relevant for all the records that are going through here. So the value is in http.response content length. We can give any name here for the metric key. We can say just front-end reverse proxy content length. I think that's fine. We don't need to spell out the split here, which dimensions we're adding, because it's visible in the interface anyway. So it would be a waste of space. So what kind of dimensions are we interested in? We said already we want to have the service name, which we parsed out, in the processing stage, and we also want to have the container name, which the one agent added for us.
So that means the log that we transformed earlier, now you'll say all the logs that are coming in, that's the matching field true. We're going to extract the response content length field of that log, and we store it as a metric that is called log.frontend reverse proxy content length. And additionally, you have two dimensions that we also take from the two log fields. One is called service and one is called container name. Perfect.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it works here. Cool. So now we have the metric, and we said that we also interested in major steps of our user journey. And for that case, we want to extract a biz event for each of those. So now the matching condition comes into play, because we want to, create biz event for login. So that means for all the things that are, for all the log lines, all the records that come in and come from the log service, login service, we want to create this biz event. And the event type, we can define it however we want. We call it login, and reverse proxy as the event provider. And we want to extract all the fields. We can still, so this biz event goes through the biz events pipeline, so we can clean it up there as well,
But the point is, every log message that comes in from the service login service will additionally create a business event with the event tab login from the event provider reverse proxy, because business events, the mandatory two fields are event type and provider. And then you take every single log field and add it to that biz event.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what's happening. And we're going to do the same thing for the trade. So create biz event for trade. So here, we're not interested in all the log records from the broker service, but only the ones that have trade in it. So here we use matches value for this HTTP target, which is our path. And this is kind of emulating a starts with. So you see there's no asterisks here. Just at the end. So whatever comes after the trade, we will match against it. So we're going to do the same thing here. We named it login before. Now we name it trade, and the reverse proxy is the source.
Cool.
Okay. So what's left is, we said we have some asset requests that we don't want to keep here. And now the nice thing is that the metric extraction already happened. So we still get this kind of information, did the asset request happen? But we don't want to persist it in our case. I could have also done a drop, So we have this drop record here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then I wouldn't get metric extraction for this.
Because the log message, as you said, goes from processing to metric to data. So basically the tabs on the top specify the sequence on how the data.
Exactly. Yes, that's how it works. Yeah. So we have two choices here. One is the bucket assignment itself, or one is just we don't wanna persist it. So that's what we do here. Sorry, that's the name. So don't persist the asset request, and the path that we're interested in is this one. That's one of the assets. Yeah. There's more, so we can fill it in, but that is a representation of one of the major assets that's coming up all the time. And yeah, so our pipeline is configured. We can save it. Now what's left to do? So this pipeline exists now, but it doesn't get any data. So what we need to do is we need to also add it to the routing table so that the routing knows which data to send to. So you already see here the pattern that we use. I'm gonna just straight away copy this here. So I'm gonna add a route, select the front and reverse proxy here, match condition, front and reverse is this the container name, and I say easy trade front end ref proxy.
Cool. So that means if you have logs that are coming in and they match the condition that you just had, so it comes from that container, then please forward it to that particular target pipeline.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
So we've already. I think this is important to understand. No pre-prod logs are gonna be seen here after this matching condition. All of the pre-prod logs are gonna be routed to this filter pre-prod route. The target pipeline is called don't persist noise, and it basically consists just of a don't store processor.
Yeah.
So here we only have prod data, and we split it by the container name. Cool. Yeah, so what's left to do is save, and we're done. Yeah, so what our data now looks like, let's just check it out shortly in our notebook. This is how the data looked originally. I cleaned it up so there's much more. The one agent really sends a lot of interesting data here about entities, but that's not relevant for our case. So this is a cleaned up log record that's focusing on the Nginx. So this is before. We scroll down. This is after. Really nice. We see a status code, the HTTP method, the protocol version, the pipelines. We also see, I think that's important to understand, before it went through this default pipeline, the classic pipeline, and it didn't see any processing because we didn't do anything there. And now it goes through our front-end reverse proxy pipeline.
Perfect.
See the hashed account ID, content length, that's the metric that we extract. So that's the value where we extracted the metric from user agent. Really nice, I think. And here even we have a visualization of the metric.
Yeah.
So this is the content size. It's a logarithmic table because there's so much difference. You see login service is very
low. Yeah.
Low in bytes, and this is like assets, really large. Yeah. So that's our new ingest now.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Hey, do me a favor, go back to the OpenPipeline quickly.
Yep.
If you can go in once more and edit the one that you just created.
So front end proxy. Yep.
So just for clarification, that means things come in depending on the matching condition you have in the routing. So now in your case, all the logs from the front end proxy come in. They will then be going through the processor. If you can do me a favor and just click on the plus button again for the processor, what other options do we have? The technology bundle, we showed this, the dequal, you've seen this. We talked about the add fields, rename and remove fields, and the drop record. So you can drop a record here, which means then it would no longer go into metric extraction, data extraction, permission, or storage. Yeah, perfect.
Yes, exactly. So, you can do all these add fields, rename fields, remove fields in DQL as well, but, you don't have to. For simple operations like that, you don't have to dive into DQL. You can just use these processors, and we're going to be extending this processor list over time.
Yeah. Then one more question on the data extraction. I know you've created two busy event extractions, if you can quickly walk over.
Yeah.
And the other one would be a Davis event. So a Davis event would be, you could create an event that would lead to Davis opening up a problem,
Yes,
a
exactly.
deployment event, an info event, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's and also here we are just at the start. Over time, you will be able to extract into anything. So you will be able to create an SDLC event, kind of a generic event, even a span. You might want to add create a span from a log line. So there's a lot of flexibility. And also, let me mention that here we, because I said we're going to add processors. So what we're currently discussing is, I think, really, really nice feature here, a sensitive data handling processor. You know, that scans for credit cards or bank account number or social security number. So that's going to come as well.
Cool. Last thing I wanted to ask you here, you skipped the permissions tab just for completeness.
Yeah, so here you set the security context. The security context is a special field in Grail. It's used for record-based access. So you can use the buckets for kind of coarse access control. But if you really want to have control over each individual record, you can use the security context field and some other related fields. All of the documentation is here, you know, for the permissions and also the list of fields somewhere. Is it this one? Yeah, supported fields. So then you can go into account management, into the policy management, set up policies to make sure people can only access the data that they are allowed to.
Perfect. Cool. Thomas, this was awesome. This was a great way to explain to our audience. And let me just bring us back here. Yeah. First of all, in the first video, great job in explaining why OpenPipeline, what it is, and the use cases, and now an end-to-end configuration of a pipeline. I think we can just encourage everyone to look into this themselves, give us feedback.
Yeah. Please use the feedback channel. Check out our FAQ. Contact your sales or your customer representative. Make use of OpenPipeline.
Yeah, cool. And as there's more innovation coming, Thomas, I will invite you back once we have new capabilities in the pipeline to do a refresher of this session.
Yeah, thanks. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.